Well, greetings everyone, and thank you so much for jumping back once again into another video of the series Technical Analysis. I'm your host, Crypto Boy, and I hope all of you guys are doing great. So from our previous videos, you have been benefiting and you have been making a lot of money. Thank you so much for watching the videos and showing all of your love. You can talk about coins in the comment section as well. So previously discussed, as you can see on my screen, this was this green zone for Solana. I was talking about this place to be an accumulation zone, and I have talked multiple times in every single video. I have talked about this being an accumulation point for Solana again and again, so that I can make you realize that every market cycle, it has an end. Even if it's the bull run, it will end soon as well. And if it's the bear market, it has also an end that has come to an end. So I believe that very soon, we are going to see some relief rallies in Bitcoin as well. And along with Bitcoin, definitely we'll see some major altcoins that will go up with that. And that would be the point that with the moment that we need to capture those profits. And we need to make those profits. We all are here to make money, definitely. I think, is there anybody else who is not here to make money? We all are money makers. So let's jump to the analysis of Sol. Okay, so I would first take you to the upper side level, and I talked about this region way earlier than it came here, and I said that sooner you will have this breakout. Now you see this zone. This was your structure, so your range, you had this coin trading within this range. But what you did is you just create a break of structure here. You break a structure here. Why did you do that? Because you see, this was the place, this was placed as support first. So you broke down the support level, you came back up, you got rejection from there. Now, since you have a rejection from this point, it's very obvious that most of the people, they would want to do a short trade on this region. So what they did is that they placed their short entries right here. And what the market does is when it breaks these kind of structures, market, it tries to liquidate or hit their stop losses in these regions. Whenever you see these break of structures, these are just deviations. And they are meant for nothing, just to deviate you from the original scenario. So what's the original scenario for Solana? It's bearish. It's obviously bearish. Everything was bearish, but they made you feel positive. They made you feel like, you see, you had a big recovery like this. This was obvious bounce from this order block. Now I have some new order blocks on these zones I'm going to tell you about. But first, look at this order block. This is your major order block, and this will always be your major order block no matter what. And this thing, you miss an entry, we call it the missed entry. It's a technical term, by the way, the missed entry. There are ways to take these entry also, but that's some kind of bit of risky, so I don't want to tell you about them. But I will include them in my next course. Oh, by the way, if you want to learn technical analysis and you want to become an analyst like me, I have a complete course on Udemy. You can check out, the link is in the description. Okay, so I'm gonna extend this one a little bit here and paint it red. So what you see here is that this was just a deviation move to make you feel that the breakout has happened and you're gonna go up. Meanwhile, it got rejected from the resistance zone that I created. Then I talked about that this will be the resistance zone. If you come to this point, you will have a rejection. And look how precisely you got rejected from there. If you were to take a short trade, which I did, you could have made, let's calculate that. You would have made an easy 14% on spot and 140% on if you were using 10x leverage. So what's happening right now? Well, right now there's a clear pattern that is forming up, and there you go. You see this wick. This week was supposed to happen right there, but they did not make it happen. They just pumped the price. They made them feel breaking out of this trend line and this everything, so that you can, I mean, you can simply long the trade. Anyways, so right now this is the resistance zone where we have this Solana right now, but this is a confusion between these two things. We have this trend line, this earlier trend line, which has been broken out, this big trend line. Let me take you to the bigger time frame so that you can see that line. Okay. There you go. You see this line right there. This was your original line that had formed up way earlier in these areas, and I wanted a confirmation on this line that either this line will work or is valid or not. So I think we have got some kind of confirmation that this line is working as a resistance, which is a good idea. I mean, good confidence. You can now you can use this as a breakout line. I mean, if this breaks out of this line, and you can take an entry, but for me, if I was to take an entry, I would take entry above this region, this $40, because this is the way more important level than Solana. Sorry, is that Solana? Okay, let's jump to the shorter time frame as well. I saw some structure. I want to talk about that. Okay, so here you go. I see this harmonic pattern from A to B, and we can take either of them. Okay, we see if we form this here. Okay, if we are to form something like this one, I want to check on the okay, so if we form something like this and we get a rejection again, so this would be again our target. You can make an entry here on the basis of this pattern, but be careful. You need a tight stop loss. That would be a good area, good resistance. You can keep your stop loss above that. I mean, it's really hard for Solana to get above this one because this is an order block region and this is a strong region. You see here, this is a strong region from the price, from where the price fell down. You can go for a trade, but this is not a financial advice. You will go for a trade on a completely your personal choices. I don't want to be the man responsible for your negligence and your loss. Okay, so if we do not look at the BTC and we just look at the SOL, that would be not a great idea. Okay, so for Bitcoin, yesterday I created this video for Bitcoin. I talked about this pattern, this head and shoulder pattern that has formed there, and I said that if it breaks, you will go lower. But this did not break. The pattern is still intact. So no trade, definitely not trade. We will not trade unless the pattern is broken. So the pattern is still valid. I mean, it is still there. You can trade if you are this pattern trader. You can take a trade below this region with a complete retest. And there's one more pattern, similar pattern that I see on Bitcoin, but this is the opposite. There you go. So let me just draw it for you guys. Okay, so here we take this, take that, take this, take that, this, that. So sorry, I have plug in my charger. So that right there is your pattern for inverse head and shoulders that can form up, and that could come in confluence if this pattern is valid, and if it breaks out. Patterns are always valid, but the thing is that they need to break out first. So if you break out of this pattern will take you to a new dimension, a completely new dimension, and that is this big resistance. This pattern will have exact targets of this big resistance area that will break that. If it does break this area and you close above that, you will be back into the trend line, into this bullish, not bullish, into this bearish channel, but the channel which has a possibility of breaking towards the upside somewhere soon in the next few months, let's say like 6 or 8 months. But don't worry, by 2024 you will have Bitcoin around $50,000. That I can at least bet. Okay, so let's check the Bitcoin dominance and market capitalization. Okay, so we see the market capitalization is creating nothing. Let me just find something for this one as well. Okie dokie. So this is your pattern, which is a bearish flag for Bitcoin. That means that we can see further decrease in the Bitcoin dominance. That means you will have a short alt season, but one more thing will depend on that, and that is that the money that comes out of Bitcoin needs to go into the altcoins. That means the price of the Bitcoin shall stay stable. Do you understand that? It should stay stable in the accumulation zone, or it should go slightly up and the dominance should slightly fall. And that is the point where we call the alt season that comes. So now you remember the video where I talked about this divergence on the Bitcoin dominance, and I predicted this way earlier, and I told you guys that this will happen. The RSI was rising. This was on I think on a bigger time frame. Yes, that was this bigger time frame. This point was that. So there you go. This was your divergence, and I talked about this divergence a lot earlier than I should have. And you see that just did a break of structure there as well, and eventually it fell down. It has happened many times. It always happens, and along with that you see this death cross for the dominance. That means we have chances of going further down. However, we did take some support here. The next support level for the dominance would be, well, definitely this would be the region. So you need to watch out for this region. If it gets there on that, Bitcoin will see a bounce. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you like the video, if you like the content, please make sure you subscribe the channel and you turn on your notifications so that you not miss the updates. See you in the next video.